Welcome back to Simrite Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this two-piece trouser and top you are seeing right here. So you can see the top right there. It has gathers at the front neckline and it has a circular trouser as well. So this is what I came out with. You can see the gathered neckline with the high neckline, as you can see right there. So you can tuck in, you can fly out if you want. So this is what I have right there. Okay, so I'll be teaching you how to sew this top and how to sew this circular trouser as well. So stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Right here we are going to sew the top before the circular trouser. So I have only 1 yard right here. Okay, so for the top you need only 1 yard. So this 1 yard of fabric right now, I'm taking the measurement, as you can see right here, is just 36 inches. So I'm going to fold this 36 inches into 2. So I'll fold it into 2 like this. The length, I'm using a crepe fabric. You can also use Duchess for this, but I use crepe for this tutorial. So crepe comes at 60 inches length. So when I fold it into 2, I'll have 30 inches. Can you see that? I have 30 inches. So right now, I'm going to bring the other side of this fabric to meet up the other side right here. So you can see the folded edge, and that is going to be my shoulder line. So I'm going to create 1 inch. So you mark out 1 inch for your border line. That's the first thing you do. You mark out 1 inch for your border line. So after marking 1 inch on the shoulder line, I'm going to create the gathers allowance. So I'm marking 3 inches from the center front, center back. So you just go ahead and mark out 3 inches. So that point is my center front and center back right now. So I'm going to take my shoulder divide by 2. My shoulder divide by 2 is 8 inches. And the remaining part of that fabric, the 1 yard, I'm going to use it for my sleeve. So there I have 7 inches. So I'm working with 3 inches neckline because this is a turtleneck. 3 by 3 for the front neckline. I'm going to connect the 3 inches by 3 inches. And I'm going to extend it to the gathers allowance. Then for the back neckline, I worked with 1.5 inches, but you can also use 2 inches for that. So I'll just connect the 2 inches to the 3 inches and extend it to the gathers allowance as well. So on the sleeve line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches, and I'm going to connect that 1.5 inches straight to my shoulder line, as you can see. So that is the shoulder slant. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my sleeve width. But before that, I'm going to add half an inch on the shoulder line. So I'm using this half an inch right now to stitch this top. Alright, so after that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to create the sleeve opening. So I'm going to mark out the sleeve opening, but I'm going to also take the length, the length right now. So from that length, I have 29 inches. So the sleeve opening, I'm using 11 inches. So I'll mark 11 inches. So at that 11 inches, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. So I'll come in by 1 inch. If you're on a plus size, you can come in by 1 inch. But if you're on a small size, you can even go in by 4 inches in that point. So this is what I got right now. So I'm cutting out that 1 inch to the sleeve line. So I cut it out like a kimono. So now I'm going to cut out my seam allowance. Then I'm going to cut the back neckline. Make sure you cut the back neckline only. At this point, we are going to separate the back and front and cut the front neckline accordingly. So after cutting out the back neckline, I'm going to separate the inner piece that will serve as the back and then we are going to cut the front neckline. So I'll just go ahead and cut the front neckline right now. I'll just cut it through the 3 inches neck depth. So here you can see the neck is wider right now. So this wider neckline, we are going to gather it back to come back to our normal neckline. So this is the back piece. So I'm going to create a slit at the back. So that will serve for our button slit. So I'll measure 5 inches for our button slit. So I'm using 5 inches. So I'll just make a slit at that point. So we'll be able to wear this dress after we are done stitching it. So I've opened up 5 inches, as you can see. So the next thing we are going to do right away is to start gathering. So we are going to gather. I'm using my gather stitches right now. I will gather on the neckline. I'll bring it back to the normal width of our neckline. So for the front, I'll also go ahead and run my gather stitches accordingly at 1/2 inch. So here I've run my gather stitches for the front. So I'm going to pull all the gathers to the center front right now. So make sure you have your concentration of your gathers at the center front area, okay? So you can see how I gathered it and arranged it. So after gathering the front neckline, we'll also proceed to gathering the back neckline as well. So I'm going to take the measurement of what I've gathered so far. So I'm taking the measurement of what my neckline is supposed to be. So here I got 12 inches for the front. So how did I get these 12 inches? I marked out 3 by 3 on paper and connected my round neckline. Then I took the measurement of what I have bearing. I have 5 inches. So I added 1 inch for seam allowance. So this is just one part of the center front. Multiply by 2 will give you 12 inches. So that is how I got that 12 inches measurement. So for the back, I'm also going to gather in the back, as you can see. So I'll just go in, concentrate it or at the center back too, okay? So that gather is concentrated at the center back. And I also marked my back neckline with 1.5 inches depth, and I have 8 inches in total. So now I'm going to mark 4 inches. Then I'll add 1/2 inch to it. That is 4.5 for stitching allowance. Okay? Or 5 inches. This part should be 5 inches because we have a slit at the back. So you measure 5 inches, 5 inches. After stitching the slit and the shoulder line, we return back to 4 inches. Multiply by 2 is 8. So I'm going to sew the shoulder seam lines right now. So here I'm done sewing the shoulder seam lines. So I will proceed to the piping of the slit. So I'm going to reduce the side of this because I just cut the side by 1 inch, but I looked at it and it looks so big on me. So I'll just use my hip measurement right now to get the size I want. So I put my tape at the center front and I'm going to mark my hip, divide by 4. Then I added 3 inches. I added 3 inches to it. I don't want the dress too big. So I just added my 3 inches to my hip, divide by 4. So right now I'm going to cut through that 3 inches. I'm going to cut out the excess. After marking right now, I'll trim off the excess right there. So here is the shape I want, okay? So I'll cut in through that part. Like I said, if you are on a bigger size, you can leave it at 1 inch. But if you're on a smaller size, you can do that part 4 inches. So I've trimmed it off right now. So the next thing we are going to do is to pipe the back slit. So to pipe the back slit, I just got a strip, okay? I cut out a strip of 1.5 inch width. The length can be any length. So I'm going to run the strip right now. So here on my machine, the 1.5-inch strip, I'm going to sew 1/2 inch on one side. So I'm sewing from the right side, from the wrong side, sorry. So I'll sew from the wrong side, and then I'm going to fold it into the right side. So I'm just trying to pipe that part. So you can also use bias, a matching bias for it. In fact, I even prefer a matching bias. Okay, so the bias piece looks a little bit smaller and better for this. So just make a notch at that part to ease that part. So I made a notch, and then I'm going to fold in 1/2 inch and another 1/2 inch, and I'm going to stitch to hold on the back slit. So after making the back slit, I'm going to fold in my sleeve. So I just go and run my sleeve, as you can see. Next is to put the dress together, and I'm going to sew the sides right now. After sewing the sides, you make 2 notches at the armhole to ease that part. So the dress is almost ready because the main dress is ready. So we'll now go over to the piping of the neckline. So for the neckline, remember we put 8 plus 12 together, front and back neckline. It will give me 20 inches. So I'm going to cut my strip at 21 inches because I'll add 1/2 inch on both sides. So here the strip I'm going to pipe measures 21. So I'm going to, the width is 1.5 inches and the length is 21 inches, okay? So this 21 inches right now, I'm going to, from the center back where we have the slits, I'm going to fold it in, as you can see, and place it right side to wrong side, just like you do in bias. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I'll just go ahead and pipe it to the front piece, but make sure you add your button loop. So here is my button loop. So I'm going to stitch it very close to the back neckline. I can put it inwards or backwards. So I'll just go ahead and stitch it and now pipe. So here you can see I'm done piping the neckline. So here is the back neckline as well. So you can now add your button for the back part. So now we are done with the dress completely. So we want to sew the belt. So for the belt, I've already cut out my belt. So here the width of my belt measures 12 inches. Then the length, I use 60 inches, but you can use more than 60 inches if you want it long. So I'm going to put my belt together the first time and the second time. So you fold it again, as you can see right here. So we'll begin to take the measurements. So on the open part, I'm going to go in by 4 inches. And I'm going to slant that 4 inches to the folded part like this. So after slanting that part, the next thing I'm going to do is to go down by 4 inches from the folded part. Then I'm going to measure 10 inches from the center front piece and connect a slant line. So that is just the shape I want my belt to have, okay? So you can create any shape of your choice. So I'll just go ahead and trim off what I have on that piece. I'll just cut it out on that piece, as you can see. So here you can see what I got right here. So the next thing I'll do is to make a notch at the center front, and then you are going to measure 3.5 inches from the center front, 3.5 inches, and create your notch. So that 3.5 inches, when I open it, I'll have 7 inches in total. So we are going to stitch and leave that part open. So I'm done stitching my belt, but the center part, we are going to leave it open, so you'll be able to use it to turn the belt. So here you can see me turning the belt right now. So I'm going to turn it to the right side and then give it a good press. So here my belt is ready, and you can see that center piece is also open. So you just take it to the weaving machine now and weave that center part. Match your neckline together. Get the center front. You can use your pin to identify the center front. Then pick up the center front of the belt and then stitch it right side to right side, the belt right side to the dress right side. So I just go ahead and secure with my pin at the center front accordingly. So the next thing I'm going to do right away, I'll secure the other piece, the open part to the neckline from the center front. Then I'll go over to my sewing machine right now. I'm going to stitch following that already line I made on the neckline. So after stitching, you can see what I have. Make sure you weave that part, okay? So here is the dress, and the dress is ready. I believe you learned a lot from this class. So for the trouser class or the circular trouser, I'll be posting it on the link on the description box below. So thank you very much for coming once again. And if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe and turn on your notification bell. Thanks for watching. Bye.